July 6th. A good day to you. Grab a coffee and let's get smarter together. Upon finishing yesterday's post, I raised a question in which I compared charisma with the reactivity of elements. Charisma is one of three ways power structures could be established in early societies, which are identified as precursors of states. The other two are hacks of a human protocol at two different places. The point where we perceive our own intelligence, generating our model of the world as one coming from the outside because we identify so strongly with the self that we cut out from the world. And the point where the support and cooperation network of overlapping selves has been established and people widen the scope of it unnaturally. Charisma, as a version of reactivity, would be located right between the two. Someone hacking the human protocol because they can bond with an unusual large number of other people and who's acting as a staple in the intermolecular structure. But let's take a step back and let me explain reactivity of atoms before we transfer the concept onto human bonding. And we should do that, of course, because I believe that human bonding, the way we create together a collective intelligence, will turn out to be quite similar to atoms joining in a covalent bond, including the reliance on the electromagnetic force. Here's a table of elements. You know, the little number in each square tells us how many electrons and protons the element has. Since we know that becoming an atom has distorted the option field of the electrons in such a way that they circle the nucleus in orbits where the first orbit has room for 2 electrons and each other orbit farther out has room for 8, that number also tells us something about the load factor of each element's valence shell, its outermost orbit. Elements like helium, that has 2 electrons on its one orbit, or neon, that has 2 on its one shell and 8 on its valence shell, are fully booked, like a hotel. No vacancies. And because of that, they will not react at all, bond to become part of a molecule under normal circumstances. There's no vacancy. Go away. The same goes for all elements on the far right-hand side of the table of elements, called noble gases. In human terms, we talk here about true hermits or lone wolves, individualists who just don't find any way into any relationship. Like the gases, they'll be extremely rare under normal circumstances, as the goal of a smaller pattern is to become part of a larger pattern, a larger collective intelligence, and thus get ever closer to this point of lowest energy state while still being at an equilibrium with its surroundings. To accomplish that, unreactive elements are dead ends. They can't become part of larger structures that need to eventually disintegrate so their parts can find another way into larger patterns. When we move to the far left side of the table, we find there elements that are 1 electron short of a full valence shell. They want one more tourist. There's one more bed free. Highest bidder. Given that atoms have a tendency to prefer to have always a fully booked valence shell, like hoteliers, they are on the lookout for one more electron. There's always the choice of a covalent bond, but you know what a hassle shared custody is? If they could get one with less commitment, that would be splendid. Thank you very much. And they are in luck. All the elements on the right-hand side, on the right next to the noble gases, had to open another orbit just to accommodate a single electron. It's like opening another wing in a hotel just for one more guest. And they are all too happy to hand it over. It's called an ionic bond. The receiving partner becomes negatively charged, the donating partner becomes positively charged. These charges mean they stick around each other, or other ions with an opposite charge. In human terms, this would establish an abusive relationship and could explain the hard time partners on either side of this relationship have to change their ways. To establish an ionic bond seems so much easier to them than to enter in a covalent bond. For the partner who needs just one more electron, the abuser, a covalent bond would always mean to accept that the other has more spots to fill and will enter more covalent bonds, what the abuser simply can't. For the partner with all spots but one on the valence shell to fill, the abused one in an ionic relationship, it means a lot of work to find so many more partners to bond with until the feeling of relaxation and equilibrium sets in they can have by just pushing this one electron away. But only relationships where at least one partner has more than one open spot to fill are relationships that offer the potential to become larger structures and something like crystal lattices, something needed to make progress to this big goal of everything in the universe becoming one network. What leads us to all the elements that are left in the middle of a table? They all have more than one spot to fill on their valence shell, but less than 7. And their first option will always be covalent bonds. More often than not, this means finding another element to establish shared custody over a pair of electrons for each spot. When you now imagine 2 carbon atoms doing so, each one when left with 3 more spots to bond with other atoms, which all will have spots left to bond with other atoms, and so on, you begin to understand how the resulting network can become ever wider. Soon, our original carbon atom is bonded with elements it has no idea where they are or what they are, but they all help each other to reach a lower overall energy state while they are in an equilibrium with each other. The energy released will benefit them all as a higher capacity to store and process data, a higher collective intelligence. And that are what healthy human relationships look like. You are personally bonded to as many people as you need. The collective intelligence will distort your option field and will put you in the perfect distance and angle to your bond partners to feel relaxed and balanced. And since your bond partners are bonded with others, they too will be connected to you strongly enough that you understand that you have to keep them relaxed and balanced and doing their thing so you can be you. Staples would be humans who have many open spots and an ability to bond with about everyone who comes along. While necessary to enable the network to grow without hiccups, they can hack the network building when they are tuned to the mechanism by creating the equivalence of, for example, dative covalent bonds. Covalent bonds in which the 2 electrons that they share custody with the other come from the same atom. They take double from the other, but don't give anything from themselves. When you remember that we are talking about energy, and energy is information, such a staple would end up with an information surplus, able to influence the vibes of the network. Knowing the mechanism is key to stopping manipulations. Explore. As Ananas think, make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into the norm again. Like, comment, share, and follow lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. Once you do, we'll meet again at the coffee pot.